Close your eyes now and picture yourself lying beneath an endless canopy of African stars. The evening air is warm against your skin, carrying the faint scent of dry grass and distant rain. Somewhere in the darkness, a lion's roar rolls across the savanna like distant thunder, neither threatening nor alarming, but deeply comforting in its ancient rhythm. This is the sound that has echoed across these plains for millions of years, a voice that has witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations, the shifting of continents, the patient unfolding of time itself. Tonight, let that roar become your lullaby as we explore the most calming, fascinating truths about these magnificent creatures. Let their unhurried existence slow your racing thoughts. Let their patient power ease your restless mind. The lions are settling in for their evening rest now, and so can you. The ancient origins of lions. Let's begin our journey 2 million years ago, when the very first lions walked across the grasslands of eastern Africa. Imagine the earth as it was then, wild and untouched, with vast stretches of land connecting continents that would one day drift apart. The earliest recognizable lion fossils were discovered at Olduvai Gorge in Tanzania, nestled within rock layers that have preserved these creatures in stone, like memories held in amber. These ancient bones tell us that lions emerged during a time when the world was locked in the rhythm of ice ages, when great glaciers advanced and retreated across the northern hemisphere with the patience of geological time. The story of lion evolution is one of remarkable journey and adaptation. Scientists believe that the lineage leading to lions diverged from other big cats somewhere around 10 million years ago in Asia, perhaps in the mountainous regions of what we now call Tibet or China. Picture those ancient landscapes, where early members of the Panthera family first developed the unique bone structure in their throats that would one day allow their descendants to produce the most powerful roar in nature. A small fossil discovered in Tibet, belonging to a creature called Panthera blithyi, gives us a window into this distant past. This ancestor was about the size of a snow leopard, smaller than the lions we know today, but already possessing the strong jaws and sharp canines that would define its lineage. From these Asian highlands, the ancestors of lions spread slowly across the world, following the ebb and flow of climate change, tracking the movements of prey animals across continents. By about 2 million years ago, recognizable lions had emerged in eastern Africa, perfectly adapted to the open grasslands that were expanding across the continent. But these early lions didn't stay in Africa. They were travelers, wanderers, colonizers of new territories. Around 1 million years ago, lions began appearing in Eurasia, and by 700,000 years ago, they had become ubiquitous across Europe. These ancient European lions were magnificent creatures, even larger than modern lions. Fossils classified as Panthera fossilis show us animals that may have weighed over 1,100 pounds, making them among the largest cats that ever lived. Picture these enormous felines prowling through forests and grasslands that stretched from Spain to Siberia, their size necessary for hunting the giant prey animals of the Pleistocene epoch, the mammoths and woolly rhinoceros that shared their world. The bones of these giant lions have been found in caves across Europe, in the United Kingdom, Germany, Italy, and the Czech Republic, buried in sediments alongside stone tools and ancient hearths, evidence that early humans and lions shared the same landscapes. Over hundreds of thousands of years, Panthera fossilis evolved into the cave lion, Panthera spelaea, a creature that would become immortalized in the art of Ice Age humans. Cave lions were still larger than modern lions, but had undergone a gradual size reduction as the climate changed and prey patterns shifted. These magnificent predators roamed across Eurasia and even crossed the Bering Land Bridge into Alaska and the Yukon, expanding their range to encompass nearly the entire northern hemisphere. The cave lion inhabited a landscape known as the Mammoth Steppe, an enormous grassland ecosystem that stretched from Spain to Canada, the largest biome that has ever existed on Earth. In the caves of southern France, at places like Chauvet, early humans painted cave lions on stone walls using charcoal and ochre, creating images that still glow with life 30,000 years after they were made. These paintings show us that cave lions had shorter manes than African lions, perhaps an adaptation to the cold climate, or perhaps indicating that males cooperated more closely in hunting. The artists who painted them clearly observed these animals closely, capturing the muscular power of their shoulders, the intense focus in their eyes. In one remarkable sculpture from Germany, an artist carved a figure with a lion's head and a human body, the Loemensch or Lion Man, one of the oldest known works of figurative art. This tells us that lions already occupied a powerful place in human imagination more than 30,000 years ago. While cave lions dominated the cold grasslands of Ice Age Eurasia, another giant lion species emerged in the Americas. The American lion, Panthera leo atrox, was possibly the largest lion that ever existed, with some individuals weighing up to 700 pounds or more. These massive predators hunted bison, horses, and camels across landscapes ranging from Alaska to Mexico, and possibly even into South America. The American lion was so large that a single specimen discovered in the La Brea tar pits of Los Angeles shows an animal that would have stood over 4 feet tall at the shoulder, taller than any lion alive today. All of these Ice Age giants, the cave lions of Eurasia and the American lions of the New World, vanished around 14 to 10,000 years ago, victims of the Great Extinction event that ended the Pleistocene epoch. As the ice sheets retreated and the climate warmed, the vast grassland ecosystems that had supported these enormous predators fragmented and changed. The megafauna they hunted, the giant sloths and saber-toothed cats, the mammoths and mastodons, all disappeared within a relatively brief span of time. Whether climate change, human hunting, disease, or some combination of factors caused this extinction, we may never know with certainty. What we do know is that the cave lion left no descendants in other continents, its genetic line ending completely as the Ice Age world transformed. But the modern lion survived in Africa and began expanding its range again. During the early Holocene, around 8 to 6,000 years ago, lions recolonized parts of southeastern Europe, moving into Greece, Bulgaria, and eventually as far north as Hungary and as far east as Ukraine. These lions hunted wild cattle and horses across landscapes that were transitioning from wilderness to agricultural land as human civilization expanded. Ancient Greek writers described lions in their homeland, and Herodotus, the father of history, wrote in 480 BCE that lions attacked the camels of the Persian army as it marched through Macedonia. By 300 BCE, lions had become rare in Greece, and by 100 CE, they had vanished entirely from Europe, pushed out by human expansion and habitat loss. In Asia, lions once ranged from Turkey through Mesopotamia to India, inhabiting regions where adequate prey supported their populations. They persisted in the Caucasus Mountains until about 1000 CE and in the Middle East until the 19th century. Today, only a tiny population survives in India's Gir forest, a remnant of the vast range lions once commanded. Genetic studies of modern lions reveal fascinating details about their evolutionary history. Lions from East and Southern Africa show greater genetic diversity than those from West and Central Africa or Asia, suggesting that the East African populations have the longest continuous history. At some point around 70,000 years ago, the modern lion population split into two main lineages, one centered in West and Central Africa extending to Asia, and another in East and Southern Africa. These genetic studies also reveal that modern lions and cave lions shared a common ancestor around 500,000 years ago, and that gene flow between different lion populations was interrupted when lions vanished from North Africa and the Middle East, creating isolated populations that evolved somewhat independently. The Asiatic lions of India show the least genetic diversity of all lion populations, a warning sign that inbreeding may threaten their long-term survival despite successful conservation efforts that have increased their numbers in recent decades. The fossil record gives us one more fascinating glimpse into lion prehistory. In northwest Kenya, at a site called Nato-Damari, paleontologists discovered the skull of a lion that lived between 195 and 205,000 years ago. This skull is remarkable because it rivals the size of the largest cave lions, despite being found in East Africa rather than Ice Age Europe. This suggests that massive lions may have existed in multiple lineages, and that our understanding of lion evolution continues to evolve as new fossils are discovered and analyzed with modern techniques. What emerges from this deep history is a picture of lions as supremely adaptable animals, capable of thriving in environments ranging from frozen tundra to tropical savanna, of hunting prey from rabbits to rhinoceros, of adjusting their social structures and hunting strategies to match local conditions. The lions we know today, predominantly African with that small relict population in India, are the survivors of countless climate shifts, environmental changes, and evolutionary challenges. They carry within their genes the legacy of millions of years of adaptation, refinement, and survival. When you watch a lion resting in the shade or hear its roar across the grassland, you're witnessing the continuation of a story that began when our own human ancestors were just learning to walk upright on these same African plains. There's something deeply calming in that continuity, in knowing that lions have endured through so much change, remaining essentially themselves across the vast sweep of time. The physical marvel of lion anatomy. Now let's explore the body of the lion itself, that perfectly engineered marvel of muscle, bone, and finely tuned senses. Understanding the physical form of these creatures reveals why they move with such fluid power, why they can appear both completely relaxed and instantly explosive, why their mere presence commands attention and respect. The lion's body is a masterwork of evolutionary design, every element crafted over millions of years to create an apex predator supremely adapted to life on the African grasslands. Begin with the skeleton, the framework upon which everything else is built. A lion's skeleton comprises approximately 250 bones, creating a structure that is simultaneously robust and remarkably flexible. The skull is perhaps the most impressive element, a solid fortress of bone that houses the brain and anchors some of the most powerful jaw muscles in the animal kingdom. The lion's skull is broader than a tiger's, with larger nasal openings set lower on the face, an adaptation that may help with scent detection across the open plains. Inside the skull, a lion's brain is well developed, particularly in regions responsible for coordination, sensory processing, and the complex social behaviors that make lions unique among cats. The spinal column is a marvel of engineering, consisting of 30 vertebrae that give the lion extraordinary flexibility. The cervical vertebrae of the neck are thick and strong, capable of supporting the massive forces generated when a lion drags a heavy carcass or wrestles with prey. Moving down the spine, the thoracic vertebrae anchor the ribs, creating a protective cage around the heart and lungs. But it's in the lumbar region, the lower back, where the lion's flexibility truly shines. These vertebrae are designed for an incredible range of motion, allowing the lion to twist its body rapidly during hunts, to turn almost in place when pursuing agile prey, to arch its spine for maximum power when pouncing. The limbs tell their own story of power and purpose. The forelimbs are especially muscular, built for grappling and holding prey. The humerus and radius bones are thick and solid, providing attachment points for massive shoulder and chest muscles. A lion's forelimbs can deliver tremendous power, capable of knocking down animals twice its size with a single swipe. The bones are twisted in such a way that gives lions an enhanced range of motion while running, allowing for the fluid, ground-covering stride that makes them such effective hunters. The hind limbs provide propulsion, housing enormous thigh muscles that store and release energy for those explosive bursts of speed that characterize a lion's hunting technique. Now consider the musculature, the engine that drives this skeletal framework. Lions possess a dense network of fast-twitch muscle fibers, specialized cells that contract rapidly and with great force but fatigue relatively quickly. This is why lions are sprinters rather than marathon runners, capable of reaching speeds approaching 60 kilometers per hour but only for brief distances of 100 to 200 meters. The muscular system of a lion is designed for power and acceleration rather than endurance. The shoulder muscles are particularly impressive, layer upon layer of tissue that allows a lion to pull down prey, to climb onto ledges, to maintain balance on uneven terrain. The jaw muscles deserve special attention because they enable one of the lion's most formidable weapons, its bite. The masseter muscle, which connects the lower jaw to the skull, is enormously powerful, providing the grinding and crushing force that allows lions to eat every part of their prey, including bone. The temporalis muscle, another major jaw muscle, generates tremendous force when the lion clamps down on prey. Together, these muscles produce a bite force of around 650 pounds per square inch, sufficient to crush vertebrae, snap bones, and maintain a suffocating grip on struggling prey. When you watch a lion yawning, stretching its jaws wide to reveal those massive canines, you're seeing these muscles relax momentarily before they could, in an instant, deliver lethal force. The teeth themselves are precisely adapted to a carnivorous lifestyle. At the front of the mouth are the incisors, small teeth used for gripping and tearing. Behind these are the canines, those impressive fangs that can reach 3 inches in length in a large male. These canines are designed to punch through hide and flesh, to grip prey by the throat or muzzle, to deliver the killing bite that ends a hunt. Further back are the carnassial teeth, specialized molars that act like scissors, shearing flesh from bone with remarkable efficiency. A lion's entire dental arcade is designed for one purpose: processing meat. Unlike omnivores who need grinding molars for plant material, lions have teeth that slice, grip, and tear, perfectly suited to their diet. The paws and claws reveal another layer of specialization. Lions are digitigrade walkers, meaning they walk on their toes rather than flat-footed like bears or humans. This adaptation increases stride length and running speed while also contributing to the nearly silent approach that makes lions such effective stalkers. The pads on a lion's paws are thick and tough, providing cushioning and traction while also allowing for remarkably quiet movement across various terrain. Each paw has 4 toes plus a dew claw higher up on the leg. At the end of each toe is a retractable claw, a brilliant adaptation that keeps these weapons sharp by protecting them from wear when not in use. These claws are formidable tools. They're curved, razor-sharp, and incredibly strong, capable of gripping and holding struggling prey with the tenacity of steel hooks. When a lion pounces, those claws extend and dig into its target, anchoring the predator to its prey while those powerful jaws move in for the killing bite. The retractable mechanism is controlled by ligaments and muscles that allow the claw to extend or withdraw in a fraction of a second, an elegant solution to the problem of keeping weapons sharp while walking many miles each day. The lion's sensory systems are equally remarkable, finely tuned instruments that allow these predators to perceive their world with extraordinary clarity. Begin with vision, perhaps the most crucial sense for a hunter that relies on ambush and short chases. Lions have excellent eyesight, with vision estimated to be 6 times better than humans in daylight and even more superior at night. The secret lies in their eye structure. Lions have a high concentration of rod cells, specialized photoreceptors that function well in low light. Behind the retina, lions possess a reflective layer called the tapetum lucidum, which acts like a mirror, bouncing light back through the retina and giving the photoreceptors a second chance to capture photons. This is why lion eyes glow in the dark when caught by headlights or torchlight. That eerie green shine is actually evidence of an extremely efficient light-gathering system. Lions can see in just 1/6 the light that humans require, giving them a tremendous advantage during dawn and dusk hunting, the times when they're most active. Their color vision is less developed than ours, but this hardly matters when hunting in low light when color information is limited anyway. What lions do have is excellent motion detection. A subtle movement in grass 50 meters away won't escape notice. This makes perfect sense for an ambush predator that needs to spot the moment when prey animals become separated from their herds or let down their guard. Hearing is another crucial sense, and lions have excellent auditory capabilities. Their round ears can rotate independently, like radar dishes, pinpointing the source of sounds with remarkable accuracy. Lions can hear frequencies up to about 60,000 hertz, well into the ultrasonic range that's inaudible to humans. This allows them to detect the high-pitched alarm calls of prey animals or the sounds of small creatures moving through grass. The sensitivity of their hearing helps lions coordinate during group hunts, responding to the calls and movements of pride mates even when visual contact isn't possible. The sense of smell, while perhaps less critical than vision or hearing, still plays important roles in lion life. Lions use scent to mark territory, to identify members of their pride, and to detect the presence of prey, predators, or competitors. The Jacobson's organ, located in the roof of the mouth, allows lions to taste, sense by drawing air over this specialized sensory structure. You can sometimes see this behavior, called flamen, when a lion curls back its upper lip and appears to be grimacing. This peculiar expression is actually the lion drawing air into the Jacobson's organ to analyze complex scent molecules, often those related to reproductive status in other lions. Touch is conveyed through several systems. The whiskers, or vibrissae, are highly sensitive tactile sensors that help lions navigate in darkness and detect objects near their face. These whiskers are connected to nerve endings at their base and can detect even subtle changes in air currents, helping lions move through dense vegetation at night without colliding with obstacles. The fur itself provides sensory information about temperature, wind direction, and contact with objects or other lions. The skin underneath contains thousands of sensory receptors that keep the lion constantly aware of its environment. Now consider the internal organs that keep this magnificent machine running. The heart is large and powerful, a muscular pump capable of sustaining high activity levels during hunts or territorial disputes. It works in concert with a sophisticated circulatory system that ensures oxygen and nutrients reach every cell efficiently. The blood of a lion is rich in red blood cells, maximizing oxygen-carrying capacity to fuel those explosive bursts of speed and power. The respiratory system is equally impressive, with large lungs capable of rapid oxygen exchange. When a lion has been running, you can see its flanks heaving as it pants to cool down and replenish oxygen debt. The digestive system is designed for a high-protein, high-fat diet. A lion's stomach can expand to accommodate enormous meals, sometimes more than 30 pounds of meat in a single feeding session after a successful hunt. This ability to gorge is an adaptation to feast and famine cycles, common for large predators that may go days between kills. The intestines are relatively short compared to herbivores, appropriate for a diet of easily digestible meat that doesn't require the lengthy processing needed for plant material. Lions can extract virtually every usable nutrient from their food, an efficiency essential for an animal that expends tremendous energy hunting and defending territory. The reproductive system deserves mention, as it's adapted to the lion's unique social structure. Male lions produce enormous quantities of sperm, an adaptation to sperm competition in a system where females may mate with multiple males during their estrus cycle. The distinctive backward-facing spines on the male lion's penis serve a specific function. They stimulate the female during mating, triggering ovulation and increasing the chances of conception. Female lions have a reproductive system designed for producing multiple offspring, typically giving birth to litters of 2 to 4 cubs after a gestation period of approximately 110 days. Perhaps the most iconic feature of male lions is the mane, that magnificent crown of hair that surrounds the head, neck, and shoulders. Manes begin growing when male lions enter adolescence, around 2 years of age, and reach full development by about 4 years old. The mane serves multiple functions. It provides protection during fights, cushioning bites and blows to the vulnerable neck region where major blood vessels and the windpipe are located. It serves as a visual signal of health and genetic fitness, with darker, fuller manes indicating higher testosterone levels and generally healthier individuals. Research has shown that females prefer males with impressive manes, and rival males are more intimidated by opponents with large, dark manes. The mane also makes males look larger and more impressive, an advantage in the intimidation displays that often precede physical confrontations. Interestingly, mane development is influenced by environmental factors as well as genetics. Lions in cooler climates, such as those in zoos in Europe or North America, often develop heavier manes than their counterparts in hotter African locations. Injured or castrated lions may lose their manes, and some populations, like those in Tsavo National Park in Kenya, have naturally sparse or absent manes. Scientists believe this may be an adaptation to extremely hot conditions or to the thornbush habitat of the region. A few lionesses have been observed with small manes, likely due to unusual hormone levels, showing the complex interplay between genetics, hormones, and environment in determining this distinctive feature. Everything about the lion's anatomy speaks to power held in reserve, to capability maintained with efficiency. A resting lion appears relaxed, almost lazy, with muscles loose and eyes half closed. But that apparent relaxation masks a body capable of explosive action, every system primed and ready to respond in fractions of a second. There's something deeply calming in observing this balance, this perfect integration of form and function refined over millions of years. The lion's body is a symphony of biological engineering, each element harmonizing with the others to create one of nature's most impressive predators. Understanding this physical perfection helps us appreciate why lions move with such confidence, such unhurried grace. They know on an instinctual level that bypasses thought that their bodies are superbly equipped for whatever challenges they might face. Daily life in the pride. Picture a typical day in the life of a lion pride, and you'll begin to understand why these creatures embody a kind of enviable tranquility despite being deadly predators. Lions are creatures of routine, their days following ancient rhythms dictated by heat and hunger, by social bonds and territorial imperatives. Understanding the quiet patterns of pride life reveals a world built on cooperation, patience, and deep familial connections. Dawn breaks across the savanna, painting the grasslands in shades of gold and amber. The night's hunt has ended, successful or not, and the pride is gathering in their favored resting spot, perhaps beneath a massive acacia tree whose broad canopy provides shade, or on a rocky outcrop that catches the morning breeze. If the hunt was successful, they've already fed, with the pride's dominant males eating first despite doing little of the hunting themselves, followed by the lionesses who made the kill, then the cubs taking their turn at whatever remains. If the hunt failed, as most do, they'll rest anyway, conserving energy for tonight's attempt. As the sun climbs higher and the temperature rises, the lions settle into their primary daytime activity, resting. Lions sleep or rest for up to 20 hours each day, one of the most sedentary lifestyles among large carnivores. This isn't laziness, but sensible energy management. Hunting requires enormous expenditure of calories, and the African heat makes daytime activity uncomfortable and metabolically expensive. So lions do what any intelligent creature would do. They rest, moving as little as possible during the hottest hours, conserving energy for the cooler evening when hunting becomes practical again. But resting doesn't mean disengaged. Watch a pride of lions during their rest periods and you'll observe a complex social dynamic playing out in small, subtle interactions. Lionesses lie close together, often touching, expressing the tight social bonds that hold the pride together. Cubs clamber over adults, pawing at ears, chewing on tails, learning through play the skills they'll need later. Adult lions tolerate this with remarkable patience, only occasionally swatting away a cub that becomes too annoying. Male lions, if present, maintain a slight distance from the females, perhaps lying 10 or 20 meters away, watchful even in repose. Social grooming is a common sight during rest periods. Lions lick each other's faces and heads, removing dirt and parasites while reinforcing social bonds. This mutual grooming, called allogrooming, is rarely random. Lions groom preferred companions, usually close relatives or longtime pride mates. A lioness might meticulously clean her sister's face, her rough tongue working carefully around eyes and ears, the receiver closing her eyes in evident contentment. Cubs groom each other constantly, and mother lions spend considerable time grooming their young offspring. These grooming sessions serve practical purposes, maintaining hygiene and removing ticks or thorns, but their social function is equally important, constantly reinforcing the connections that make cooperative hunting and cub rearing possible. Vocal communication weaves through pride life like a constant subtle conversation. Lions are remarkably vocal animals, with a repertoire that includes roaring, growling, snarling, grunting, puffing, humming, and various meows and bleats used primarily by cubs. But much of lion communication during rest periods is non-vocal, expressed through body language, facial expressions, and positioning. A lioness approaching another with tail held high and ears forward is expressing friendly intentions. A low tail and flattened ears signal submission or anxiety. Contentment is often shown by a lion lying on its back with paws in the air, exposing its vulnerable belly to pride mates in an ultimate expression of trust and relaxation. As afternoon shadows begin to lengthen and temperatures drop slightly, activity levels increase. Lions stretch, yawning hugely to flex jaw muscles and oxygenate blood. Cubs become more playful, chasing each other in brief bursts of energy. Adults begin grooming themselves more thoroughly, licking paws and washing faces. Some pride members may move to water sources for a drink, though lions can go several days without water if prey contains sufficient moisture. Others may climb into trees, not a common behavior for lions but one occasionally seen, especially in areas where ground-level biting flies are troublesome. Picture a large male lion draped across a broad branch, legs dangling, the very image of feline relaxation. As dusk approaches, the pride's activity becomes more focused. Lionesses begin looking around with greater alertness, ears swiveling, noses testing the breeze. Cubs are called together and often left with one or two adults while the main hunting party assembles. This hunting group is almost always composed entirely of lionesses, the pride's specialized hunters. Males rarely participate in hunts for everyday prey, their role being territorial defense rather than food procurement. The hunting lionesses move off into the gathering darkness, their tawny coats blending perfectly with the dry grass, becoming nearly invisible even to experienced human observers. The hunt itself follows patterns refined through millions of years of evolution and passed down through generations of social learning. Lionesses don't simply charge after prey but employ sophisticated cooperative strategies. Different individuals take on specific roles based on their experience, physical capabilities, and personality. Some lionesses are wings, circling wide to flank the prey and cut off escape routes. Others are centers, remaining relatively stationary and waiting for prey to be driven toward them. Still others are initiators, the bold hunters who begin the chase or make the initial attack. Research has shown that individual lionesses consistently occupy the same positions in these hunting formations, suggesting specialized roles similar to positions on a sports team. The actual hunt is often over in seconds, though the stalking phase may take much longer. Lionesses can wait motionless for extended periods, crouched in grass or behind termite mounds, patient beyond human comprehension, waiting for the perfect moment when prey comes within striking distance. When the moment arrives, the attack is explosive but brutally efficient. Lions are sprinters, covering ground with shocking speed for 20 or 30 meters, using the element of surprise to close the gap before prey can accelerate to full flight speed. If the prey escapes the initial rush, lions usually abandon the chase quickly. Unwilling to waste energy on a long pursuit, they're unlikely to win against faster animals like zebras or wildebeest. If the hunt succeeds, the kill is usually made by suffocation. A lion grabs larger prey by the throat, crushing the windpipe and clamping down until the animal loses consciousness and dies. For smaller prey, lions may deliver a fatal bite to the back of the neck or head, severing the spinal cord. Then comes the feeding, a chaotic affair that can seem brutal to human observers but follows its own internal logic. The pride's males, having done no hunting, nevertheless feed first if present, their size and aggressiveness ensuring priority. The lionesses who actually made the kill feed next, and cubs feed last, often having to dart in and snatch mouthfuls when adults aren't paying attention. This feeding hierarchy, which seems unfair from a human perspective, actually makes biological sense. Adult males, being larger and responsible for pride defense, need more calories and can best ensure the pride's survival if they're well-fed and strong. Lionesses need adequate nutrition to hunt effectively and to produce milk for cubs. Cubs, being smallest, can survive on less meat and can often subsist on milk when kills are scarce. The system works well enough that lions have thrived under it for millennia, though it does contribute to high cub mortality when food is scarce. After feeding, lions often drink if water is nearby, then return to resting spots to digest their enormous meals. A satiated lion may consume 30 pounds of meat or more in a single feeding, enough to create a visibly distended belly. Digestion requires energy, so post-feast rest periods are deep and prolonged. Pride members sprawl in whatever position is comfortable, sometimes in physical contact, sometimes a few meters apart. Night calls of other lions echo across the darkness, territorial declarations or contact calls from separated pride members. The pride may respond or may simply note the information and continue resting. Territory maintenance is an ongoing aspect of pride life that occurs both day and night. Lions mark their territories through several methods. Males and females both urinate on prominent objects like bushes, trees, or rocks, leaving scent marks that convey information about the marker's identity, sex, and reproductive status. Males also perform scent rubbing, pressing their faces against vegetation and transferring oils from facial glands that contain complex scent signatures. These marks create an olfactory map of territory boundaries that other lions can read and interpret. Roaring serves as an audio territorial marker, a broadcast message that declares presence and warns competitors to stay away. Lions typically roar most frequently at night, their voices carrying across incredible distances in the quiet darkness. A lion's roar can be heard from 5 to 8 kilometers away under good conditions. A bone-shaking sound that starts as a series of low moans, builds to full volume roaring, then tapers off into a series of grunts. When multiple pride members roar together, the chorus is both stirring and intimidating, a coordinated declaration of ownership and strength. Roaring also serves to coordinate movements when pride members are separated, allowing individuals to relocate each other across the vast territories they inhabit. The territories themselves vary enormously in size depending on prey availability and lion population density. In prime habitat with abundant prey, a pride's territory might encompass 20 to 30 square kilometers. In marginal habitat with scattered prey, the same pride might need 500 square kilometers to sustain itself. The pride doesn't patrol every inch of this territory constantly but focuses on core areas around favored resting spots, water sources, and productive hunting grounds. Peripheral areas may be visited only occasionally, boundaries maintained more through scent marking and roaring than physical presence. Pride composition itself is fluid and dynamic. The core of any pride is the related females, typically sisters, mothers, daughters, and cousins who remain together for life. These lionesses form the stable foundation of pride society. Their bonds so deep that they'll risk their lives defending each other and their collective cubs. Adult males, by contrast, are temporary residents, holding tenure with a pride for typically only 2 to 4 years before being displaced by younger, stronger coalitions. Cubs stay with the pride until maturity, with young females usually remaining permanently while young males are driven out or choose to leave around age 2 or 3. This basic structure creates prides ranging from just 3 or 4 individuals in marginal habitat to 40 or more in optimal conditions, though 15 to 20 members is typical. Larger prides enjoy certain advantages, like greater hunting success against large prey and better territorial defense, but they also face challenges in finding enough food for all members. The optimal pride size represents a balance between these competing factors, and natural selection has fine-tuned this balance over evolutionary time. What emerges from observing pride life is a picture of structured cooperation underpinned by deep genetic relationships. Lions aren't simply tolerating each other's presence, but actively working together in ways that increase everyone's survival and reproductive success. Female lions share the labor of hunting, the risks of defending cubs, the duties of raising the next generation. They synchronize their breeding cycles so cubs are born around the same time, allowing formation of communal nurseries where multiple mothers protect and occasionally nurse each other's offspring. This cooperation isn't perfect. Female lions do show preference for their own cubs, but it's far more extensive than found in most carnivores, which typically lead solitary lives. Male lions, though less integrated into daily pride life, provide essential services through territorial defense and protection of cubs. Without resident males, a pride's cubs are vulnerable to infanticide by roaming males seeking to establish their own breeding opportunities. The presence of strong, vigilant males allows lionesses to hunt and rear cubs with reduced threat from outside males. In exchange, males receive mating opportunities and food, even if they rarely participate in acquiring it. This arrangement has worked so well that lions are the only truly social cats, the only felids that live in permanent cooperative groups rather than coming together only for mating. There's something deeply reassuring in the rhythms of pride life, in the way these powerful predators spend most of their time resting together, grooming each other, playing with cubs, simply existing in each other's company without drama or conflict. Yes, they hunt and kill to survive, and territorial disputes can be violent, but the bulk of lion existence is peaceful, even lazy by human standards. They've perfected the art of energy conservation, of doing nothing until action is required, then acting with decisive power. It's a lesson in efficiency and presence, in being fully alive without needing constant activity to prove it. As you drift towards sleep, Imagine joining that pride in their afternoon rest beneath the acacia tree. The weight of the day's heat pressing down like a warm blanket. No urgency, no hurry, just the slow breath of contentment and the deep security of family nearby. The lioness, master hunters. Now let's turn our attention specifically to the lioness, the true engine of pride survival and one of nature's most skilled predators. While male lions capture most of the spotlight with their impressive manes and commanding presence, it's the lionesses who perform the lion's share of the essential work, hunting nearly 90% of the prey that feeds the pride. Understanding their hunting prowess reveals a level of sophistication and cooperation rarely matched in the animal kingdom. The lioness is built for her role as hunter through subtle differences from her male counterpart. She's leaner and more agile, weighing between 250 and 400 pounds compared to the male's 350 to 550 pounds. This size difference, substantial but not overwhelming, gives the lioness important advantages in hunting. She can accelerate more quickly, reach top speed faster, and maintain that speed for slightly longer distances. Without the bulky mane that adds weight and wind resistance, she can move through tall grass with greater stealth, her tawny coat blending seamlessly with the golden savanna during the critical stalking phase of a hunt. The lioness's body is a study in functional elegance. Her muscular shoulders provide explosive power for the initial burst of speed that closes the gap between hunter and prey. Her spine is incredibly flexible, allowing her to twist and turn while running, to adjust her trajectory mid-chase as prey animals attempt desperate evasive maneuvers. Her paws, broad and cushioned, grip uneven terrain while distributing her weight across a larger surface area, preventing her from slipping during the critical final moments of a chase. Every aspect of her physiology is optimized for the brief, explosive encounters that characterize lion hunting. But physical attributes alone don't make a successful hunter. What truly sets lionesses apart is their intelligence and their ability to cooperate. Lions have relatively large brains for their body size, with especially well-developed regions responsible for social cognition and spatial reasoning. These mental capabilities allow lionesses to solve the complex problems that hunting presents. How do you approach a herd of alert prey without being detected? How do you isolate a vulnerable individual from the protective group? How do you coordinate with your pride mates to maximize success while minimizing risk of injury? These questions require intelligence, communication, and trust. Lioness hunting groups typically consist of 2 to 6 individuals, though the number varies depending on the size of intended prey and the hunting conditions. Research has revealed that these groups aren't simply collections of hunters working independently but are sophisticated teams with differentiated roles. Some lionesses consistently take center positions, remaining relatively stationary and waiting for prey to be driven toward them. These center lionesses are often the most successful killers, delivering the fatal blow when prey runs into their ambush. Other lionesses take wing positions, circling wide to flank the prey herd and cut off escape routes. These flankers drive prey toward the waiting center hunters, completing the trap. Still, other lionesses act as initiators, beginning the chase that sets the entire coordinated attack in motion. What's remarkable is that individual lionesses tend to occupy the same positions hunt after hunt. A lioness who typically takes a wing position will continue doing so even as pride composition changes over time. This consistency suggests that individual personality, experience, and physical capabilities influence role allocation. Bolder, more aggressive lionesses may naturally gravitate toward initiator roles that require taking the initial risk of being detected. More patient, strategically minded individuals may excel as center hunters, capable of remaining motionless for extended periods before delivering the decisive strike. This specialization increases hunting efficiency, allowing each lioness to develop deep expertise in her particular role. The actual mechanics of a hunt are fascinating to observe, a ballet of patience and explosive action. The hunt begins with detection. Lionesses use all their senses to locate prey, but vision is primary during the active hunting hours of dusk and dawn. Once potential prey is spotted, the real work begins. Lionesses must close the distance between themselves and their target while remaining undetected, a challenge when hunting animals whose survival depends on vigilance. The stalking phase can last for extended periods, sometimes over an hour, as lionesses use every available bit of cover, every depression in the ground, every patch of taller grass, to inch closer to their quarry. During the stalk, lionesses move with extraordinary care. Each paw is placed deliberately, avoiding dry leaves or twigs that might crack and alert prey. Forward progress is measured in meters per minute, requiring patience that most humans would find excruciating. The lionesses must constantly monitor the prey's behavior, freezing instantly if any member of the herd looks in their direction, resuming the stalk only when attention shifts elsewhere. All the while, the hunting lionesses maintain awareness of each other's positions through brief glances and subtle body signals, ensuring that their spatial arrangement supports the coordinated attack they're planning. As the distance closes to approximately 30 meters, the critical threshold, the chase begins. One lioness, usually the initiator, breaks cover and charges. This sudden movement triggers flight responses in the prey herd, causing chaos that the lionesses exploit. The flanking lionesses, positioned at angles to the initiator, intercept prey animals that attempt to flee perpendicular to the charge. The center lionesses time their attacks to catch prey driven toward them by the actions of their teammates. The entire coordinated assault unfolds in seconds, a complex spatial problem solved through years of hunting experience and implicit communication. The actual chase is brief but intense. Lionesses can reach speeds of 50 to 60 kilometers per hour for short distances, but they're pursuing animals that can run 70 kilometers per hour or more for much longer. Speed alone won't win the race, so lionesses rely on acceleration, agility, and the element of surprise. Most chases cover less than 50 meters before the lioness either makes contact with prey or abandons the attempt. The success rate hovers around 20 to 30% for most hunts, meaning lionesses fail far more often than they succeed. This high failure rate explains why lions must hunt frequently and why they've evolved to be so energy efficient during non-hunting hours. When contact is made, the lioness uses her body weight and momentum to knock prey off balance or drag it down. Her claws extend fully, digging into flesh and hide, anchoring her to the struggling animal. If the prey is small enough, she may bowl it over completely. For larger prey, she typically grabs the hindquarters or flanks first, using her weight to slow the animal while other pride members arrive to assist. The killing bite comes once prey is sufficiently controlled, usually a suffocating throat grab for large prey or a crushing bite to the back of the skull or neck for smaller targets. This method of killing is efficient and, from a prey perspective, relatively quick, with most animals losing consciousness within a few minutes due to oxygen deprivation. The choice of prey species depends on many factors, including what's available, the size of the hunting party, and the hunger level of the pride. In East Africa, where zebras, wildebeest, and various antelope species roam in large herds, these animals form the bulk of the lion diet. Adult female zebras weigh around 400 pounds, wildebeest around 450 pounds, and these mid-sized ungulates represent an optimal trade-off between caloric reward and risk of injury. Smaller prey like gazelles are easier to catch but provide less food, while larger prey like adult buffalo, which can weigh over 1,500 pounds, are dangerous and require multiple lionesses working together to subdue. Seasonal variations affect hunting strategies significantly. During the wet season, when prey is dispersed across a lush landscape with abundant grass cover, hunting becomes more challenging. Prey animals are well-fed and alert, and the dense vegetation makes stalking difficult while providing numerous escape routes. During the dry season, prey concentrates around remaining water sources and vegetation becomes sparse, making both prey detection and stalking somewhat easier. These seasonal rhythms have influenced lion behavior patterns over evolutionary time, shaping when and how they hunt. Interestingly, research has revealed that lionesses are more successful hunters when they cooperate, but they're also more successful when they hunt prey that's appropriately sized for their group. A single lioness is most efficient targeting smaller prey like gazelles or warthogs. 2 or 3 lionesses work best on medium prey like zebras or wildebeest. Larger groups of 4 to 6 lionesses can tackle dangerous prey like adult buffalo or giraffe. This scaling of group size to prey size isn't random but represents an optimization that maximizes food intake per lioness. Too small a group attempting to hunt large prey faces high injury risk and frequent failure. Too large a group hunting small prey divides the limited reward among too many individuals, reducing per capita returns. This raises an interesting question. If smaller groups are more efficient for most prey, why don't lionesses always hunt in small groups? The answer relates to the complex trade-offs of pride life. Larger prides can defend better territories and protect cubs more effectively, but they must feed more mouths. The hunting group size represents a compromise between the efficiency advantages of small groups and the defensive and cub-rearing advantages of large prides. Evolution has settled on a system where lionesses live in relatively large prides but hunt in appropriately sized subgroups, balancing the various demands of their complex social lives. The patience required for successful hunting carries a certain meditative quality. Picture a lioness lying absolutely still in the grass, every muscle held in perfect readiness but without unnecessary tension. Her mind focused with laser intensity on the grazing zebras 40 meters away. She's been in this position for 20 minutes, waiting for the zebras to move just a few steps closer. Her breathing is slow and controlled. Her eyes never blink, tracking the nearest zebra with unwavering attention. This is concentration in its purest form, the ability to remain perfectly present in the moment without distraction or impatience. There's something we can learn from this, the value of focused patience, of holding yourself ready without anxiety, of trusting the process even when immediate results aren't apparent. When the hunt fails, as it usually does, lionesses don't appear frustrated or disappointed. They simply stop, assess the situation, and return to rest or begin stalking different prey. There's no wasted energy on regret or self-recrimination. The failed hunt is merely information, feedback about what didn't work, quickly processed and filed away as experience for next time. This emotional regulation, this ability to accept failure without becoming emotionally derailed, represents another lesson these powerful hunters teach through their behavior. Success and failure are both temporary states, equally part of the natural flow of existence, neither one demanding excessive emotional investment. Between hunts, lionesses rest with the same total commitment they bring to hunting. They don't pace anxiously worrying about the next meal. They don't replay failed hunts endlessly in their minds. They simply rest, conserving energy, allowing their bodies to recover, existing in a state of relaxed alertness that can shift instantly to focused action when needed. This ability to transition seamlessly between total rest and explosive activity, without the intermediate state of anxious preparation that humans often experience, represents a kind of psychological efficiency that contributes to their success as predators. The relationship between lionesses in a hunting group extends beyond mere cooperation into something approaching genuine care. Lionesses regularly share kills with pride mates, even when they could monopolize food for themselves. They protect injured sisters during and after hunts. They nurse each other's cubs when the biological mother is hunting. This degree of cooperation among adult females is rare in the animal kingdom and represents one of the most remarkable aspects of lion society. It's enabled by the genetic relatedness of pride females and reinforced through years of shared experiences, creating bonds that allow these fierce predators to work together with a level of trust and coordination that makes them far more effective than they would be alone. As you let these images of lioness hunting settle in your mind, notice the rhythm they create. Long periods of rest and patience, followed by brief explosions of focused action, then a return to rest. There's no hurry, no constant activity, no need to prove productivity through endless motion. The lionesses hunt when they're hungry, rest when they're not, and approach both states with total commitment. In our hyperactive human world, there's wisdom in this rhythm, in understanding that not every moment requires maximum effort, that rest is productive, that patience is a strength rather than a weakness. Let that wisdom sink deeper as your own breathing slows and your own muscles relax, following the lions into that state of peaceful readiness that characterizes their remarkable lives. The lion's domain, understanding the king of beasts. In the fading light of evening across the African savanna, there exists a creature whose very presence commands both respect and wonder. The lion, known scientifically as Panthera leo, represents one of nature's most successful large predators, having evolved over millions of years into an animal perfectly suited for life on the grasslands. These magnificent cats, with their tawny coats that blend seamlessly into the golden grasses, have become symbols of strength, courage, and majesty in cultures spanning the entire globe. Male lions, the iconic image that springs to most minds, possess that remarkable mane. A collar of thick, flowing hair that frames their faces and cascades down their necks and shoulders. This mane serves multiple purposes in the lion's world. It provides protection during fights with rivals, cushioning blows to the vulnerable neck area. It signals health and vitality to potential mates, with darker, fuller manes often indicating a male in his prime. The mane also makes the male appear larger and more intimidating to competitors, a natural form of visual intimidation that can sometimes resolve conflicts without the need for dangerous physical confrontation. The size of these animals varies depending on their location and subspecies, but adult male lions typically weigh between 330 and 550 pounds, while females generally range from 260 to 400 pounds. Males measure around 8 to 10 feet in length from nose to tail tip, standing approximately 4 feet tall at the shoulder. These dimensions make lions the second largest living cat species, surpassed only by tigers in average size. Their bodies are built for power rather than sustained speed. Unlike the cheetah, which sacrifices strength for incredible velocity, the lion's muscular frame delivers explosive force over short distances. They can reach speeds of 50 miles per hour in brief bursts, covering ground with remarkable acceleration when closing the distance to prey. Their legs, particularly the hind limbs, contain enormous muscular power, enabling them to leap distances of up to 36 feet horizontally and climb heights of 12 feet vertically when necessary. The paws of a lion conceal one of their most formidable weapons. Each paw, measuring approximately 5 inches across for adults, contains retractable claws that can extend to 1.5 inches in length. These curved talons serve multiple functions. They provide traction during high-speed pursuits, enable climbing when needed, and most importantly, secure prey during hunts. The retractable nature of these claws keeps them sharp, as they remain sheathed during normal walking, only extending when deliberately deployed for specific tasks. A lion's jaw can exert a bite force of approximately 650 pounds per square inch, though this varies among individuals and depends on where in the mouth the bite occurs. While not the strongest bite force in the animal kingdom, crocodiles and certain shark species far exceed this measurement. It proves more than adequate for the lion's needs. Those powerful jaws contain 30 teeth designed for specific purposes. The 4 long canine teeth, measuring up to 3 inches in length, serve to grip and puncture. The carnassial teeth, located further back in the jaw, work like scissors to shear through meat and sinew. Lions lack the grinding molars of herbivores, as their diet requires no such adaptation. The lion's sensory capabilities paint a picture of an animal exquisitely attuned to its environment. Their vision, particularly in low light conditions, surpasses human visual acuity by a factor of 6. A reflective layer behind the retina, called the tapetum lucidum, bounces light back through the eye, essentially giving photoreceptors a second chance to capture available light. This adaptation proves invaluable for an animal that conducts much of its hunting during twilight hours and into the night. During daylight, lions can see clearly across the vast expanses of savanna, detecting movement at distances exceeding 3 miles under optimal conditions. Their hearing captures a frequency range extending far beyond human capability, particularly in the higher registers. Lions can detect sounds up to 65 kilohertz, allowing them to hear the high-pitched vocalizations of small prey animals and the ultrasonic communication of bats. Their ears, which can rotate independently, work like radar dishes, pinpointing the location of sounds with remarkable precision. This ability proves especially valuable when hunting in tall grass or darkness, where visual cues may be limited. The sense of smell, while not as developed as in some other carnivores, still plays a crucial role in lion society. They possess approximately 200 million scent receptors in their noses, compared to the human count of roughly 5 million. Lions use scent to identify individuals, detect reproductive status in females, mark territory boundaries, and locate carrion from considerable distances. The vomeronasal organ, also called Jacobson's organ, sits in the roof of the mouth and detects pheromones and other chemical signals. When analyzing particularly interesting scents, lions exhibit the flamen response, pulling back their lips and opening their mouths slightly, drawing air over this specialized organ for detailed chemical analysis. Communication among lions encompasses a rich vocabulary of sounds, visual displays, and scent marking. The roar, perhaps the most iconic of all lion vocalizations, serves multiple purposes in their society. This deep, resonant sound, which can reach 114 decibels and be heard up to 5 miles away under favorable conditions, announces territory ownership, helps scattered pride members locate each other, and demonstrates individual health and vigor. Each lion's roar carries unique characteristics, allowing individuals to recognize one another by voice alone. Beyond roaring, lions produce an array of other vocalizations. They grunt in greeting when approaching pride members, a friendly sound that reinforces social bonds. Females call to cubs with a soft, puffing sound, often accompanied by gentle head rubbing. During hunts, lionesses may use low-frequency sounds, inaudible to prey species, to coordinate their movements. Males produce a distinctive huffing sound when patrolling territory boundaries or investigating potential threats. Cubs mew and whine for attention, gradually developing their adult vocal repertoire as they mature. Visual communication among lions relies heavily on body posture, facial expressions, and tail position. A confident, dominant male walks with his head high, tail extended horizontally or slightly upward, broadcasting his status through every movement. Submissive individuals lower their bodies, tuck their tails, and avoid direct eye contact. During confrontations, an aggressive lion crouches low, ears flattened against the skull, lips pulled back to display those impressive canines, communicating clear intent through unmistakable signals. The tail serves as a particularly expressive appendage in lion communication. A lion greeting a companion approaches with tail held high, often with a slight curve at the tip, the lion equivalent of a friendly wave. During hunts, the tail position signals intention and readiness. A thrashing tail indicates irritation or agitation. Cubs play fighting learn to read these tail signals, developing the social awareness they will need as adults. Scent marking pervades lion society, with both males and females depositing chemical signatures throughout their territory. Males spray urine mixed with scent gland secretions onto bushes, trees, and prominent landscape features, creating a chemical map that broadcasts territory ownership and individual identity. These scent posts must be refreshed regularly, as rain and wind gradually erase the messages. Pride members also rub their heads and bodies against each other and against objects, transferring scent from glands located around the mouth, on the cheeks, and at the base of the tail, creating a shared pride smell that reinforces group identity. Lions possess a social structure unique among cat species. While most felines lead solitary lives, meeting only for mating, lions have evolved to live in groups called prides. This social organization provides numerous advantages in the harsh environment of the African savanna. A typical pride consists of related females, mothers, daughters, sisters, aunts, and cousins, who remain together for life, forming the stable core of the group. These related females share the responsibilities of hunting, cub rearing, and territory defense, creating a cooperative system that increases survival rates for all members. The adult males in a pride, numbering from 1 to 4 individuals, are usually brothers or coalition partners who have captured the pride through combat with previous males. Unlike the females, males do not remain with their birth pride. When young males reach approximately 3 years of age, the dominant males drive them out, forcing them to become nomads. These ousted males wander alone or band together, gradually building strength and experience until they feel ready to challenge resident males for control of a pride. This system prevents inbreeding and ensures genetic diversity across lion populations. Male tenure in a pride typically lasts only 2 to 3 years before younger, stronger males challenge and defeat them. This relatively short reign means males must maximize reproductive success during their limited time, leading to intensive breeding efforts once they establish control. Tragically, when new males take over a pride, they typically kill existing cubs sired by previous males. This infanticide, while disturbing from a human perspective, serves an evolutionary purpose. It brings females back into reproductive condition quickly, allowing the new males to father their own offspring during their brief period of dominance. Pride size varies considerably depending on environmental factors, particularly prey abundance and territory quality. In areas with high prey density, such as the rich grasslands of the Serengeti or the Okavango Delta, prides may contain 20 or more individuals. In marginal habitats where prey remains scarce, prides shrink to as few as 3 or 4 members. The largest recorded pride contained 41 lions, though such massive groups represent extreme outliers rather than typical social organization. Territory size likewise fluctuates based on resource availability. In prey-rich regions, a pride may control as little as 8 square miles, while prides in arid environments might range across territories exceeding 150 square miles. Lions defend these territories vigorously, patrolling boundaries regularly and responding aggressively to incursions by neighboring prides or nomadic males. Territorial disputes can turn deadly, with serious injuries and fatalities occurring when conflicts escalate beyond ritualized displays. The daily rhythm of lion life follows patterns dictated by the African climate and the behavior of prey species. As the sun climbs high and temperatures soar, reaching well over 100 degrees Fahrenheit during dry season afternoons, lions seek shade and rest. They sprawl beneath acacia trees, drape themselves across termite mounds, or squeeze into the limited shade provided by rocky outcrops. This period of midday rest serves practical purposes, conserving energy in extreme heat, avoiding the most dangerous period for heat stress, and waiting for prey animals to emerge during cooler evening hours. Lions are primarily crepuscular and nocturnal hunters, meaning they show peak activity during twilight and nighttime hours. As the sun approaches the horizon and temperatures begin to drop, the pride stirs. Individuals rise, stretch elaborately, and engage in social grooming sessions that reinforce bonds and coordinate group activity. This transition period, neither day nor night, represents prime hunting time. Prey animals emerge to feed during these cooler hours, and the reduced light gives lions advantages through their superior night vision. The art of the hunt, strategies and techniques. Hunting represents one of the most fascinating and misunderstood aspects of lion behavior. Popular culture often portrays male lions as lazy parasites who let females do all the work, but reality proves more nuanced. Females do indeed conduct the majority of hunts, but males contribute in other crucial ways. Defending territories, protecting cubs from rival males and other predators, and occasionally participating in hunts, particularly when targeting large, dangerous prey like buffalo. Female lions hunt cooperatively, employing sophisticated strategies that demonstrate remarkable intelligence and communication. These hunts typically involve several stages, beginning with prey selection. Lions assess potential targets carefully, looking for vulnerable individuals, the young, old, sick, or injured. A healthy adult zebra or wildebeest presents a formidable opponent, capable of inflicting serious injuries with hooves and horns. Lions, lacking the speed to run down healthy prey over long distances, must rely on stealth and strategy rather than straightforward pursuit. Once lions select a target, they begin the stalk. This phase requires patience and precise coordination. Lionesses spread out, moving into positions that will allow them to attack from multiple angles. They use every available scrap of cover: tall grass, scattered bushes, slight depressions in the terrain, to mask their approach. Their tawny coats blend beautifully into the golden grasses, making them nearly invisible when motionless. The stalk may last minutes or stretch into hours as lions inch closer, freezing when prey animals look up, advancing when attention shifts elsewhere. The critical distance varies by terrain and prey species, but lions typically launch their final rush from approximately 100 feet away. At this point, stealth gives way to explosive speed. Lions burst from cover, accelerating to maximum velocity within seconds. The prey animal wheels and flees, initiating a desperate race where fractions of seconds determine survival. This chase covers relatively short distances. Unlike wolves or African wild dogs, which can pursue prey for miles, lions must close the distance quickly or abandon the attempt. If a lioness reaches the prey, she typically aims for the hindquarters, using her considerable weight and momentum to bowl the animal over. Her claws dig into flesh, providing grip as she attempts to bring the prey down. Other pride members converge on the fallen animal, adding their weight and grappling power. The actual kill varies by prey size and species. For smaller animals, a bite to the back of the neck or skull, crushing vertebrae or penetrating the brain, brings quick death. For larger prey, lions typically employ a suffocation hold, clamping powerful jaws around the throat or muzzle and maintaining pressure until the animal loses consciousness from lack of oxygen. These hunts succeed only about 30% of the time, and success rates vary considerably depending on circumstances. Nighttime hunts succeed more frequently than daytime attempts. Hunts targeting young or weakened prey animals succeed more often than those focused on healthy adults. Environmental factors play crucial roles. Hunts in areas with good cover succeed more often than those on open plains where prey can spot predators from greater distances. Buffalo hunts represent some of the most dangerous undertakings for lions. African buffalo, standing 5 feet tall at the shoulder and weighing up to 2,000 pounds, possess formidable horns and aggressive temperaments. A buffalo herd will sometimes turn and charge attacking lions, and individual buffalo have killed numerous lions over the years. Yet buffalo provide such substantial food rewards, A single adult buffalo yields enough meat to feed an entire pride for several days, that lions regularly take the risk. Giraffe hunts present different challenges. While calves represent manageable prey, adult giraffes stand up to 18 feet tall and wield devastating kicks that can crush a lion's skull. Lions targeting giraffes must approach with extreme caution, typically focusing on juveniles or attempting to bring adults down by targeting the legs. Even then, a giraffe possesses enough strength to drag several adult lions while attempting to escape. Elephants and hippopotamuses generally enjoy immunity from lion predation, their sheer size and power making them too dangerous to attack under normal circumstances. However, desperate prides in areas with limited prey have been documented attacking young elephants, and hippos wandering alone at night, away from the safety of water, have occasionally fallen victim to large male coalitions working together. These hunts remain exceptional rather than routine. Lions also scavenge when opportunities arise, and they do so without shame. The concept of the noble hunter, who disdains carrion, represents human romantic projection rather than animal reality. Lions evolved to survive, and eating meat killed by other predators represents sound energy economics. They will chase smaller predators like cheetahs and leopards from kills, using their superior size and numbers to appropriate meals they did not earn. They will investigate vultures circling overhead, knowing these birds mark the location of dead animals. Conflict between lions and spotted hyenas over food resources represents one of the most intense interspecies rivalries in nature. Popular culture portrays hyenas as cowardly scavengers stealing from lions, but research reveals a more complex relationship. Hyenas actually kill the majority of their own food, and they frequently lose kills to lions rather than the reverse. Both species attempt to appropriate food from the other, with success depending on numbers present and individual boldness. Large hyena clans can drive a small number of lions from kills, while a pride of lions easily dominates even large hyena groups. Feeding time brings out fierce competition even within the pride. Lions lack the refined social niceties of wolves, which feed their young first and maintain relatively orderly pack meals. Instead, lion feeding sessions turn into chaotic free-for-alls, with each individual attempting to consume as much as possible before others drive them away. Dominant males feed first, shouldering females aside and monopolizing the choicest portions. Their massive heads and powerful jaws allow them to access parts of the carcass others cannot, crushing through heavy bones to reach marrow, tearing open the thick hide of buffalo. Females feed after males satisfy themselves, and a clear hierarchy exists among the females, with older, more dominant individuals feeding before younger pride members. Cubs wait until last, darting in to snatch scraps when they can, risking cuffs from irritable adults. This feeding hierarchy results in significant cub mortality during times of food scarcity. When kills are few and far between, cubs receive the least food and suffer accordingly. Some research suggests that up to 80% of cubs die before reaching 2 years of age, with starvation representing a leading cause of death. A successful large kill can sustain a pride for several days. An adult zebra provides approximately 300 to 400 pounds of edible meat, enough to feed a pride of 15 lions for 1 to 2 days. Lions can consume enormous quantities in a single feeding session. An adult male may eat up to 90 pounds of meat in one sitting, though 30 to 40 pounds represents a more typical meal. After gorging themselves, lions enter a food coma state, lying motionless and digesting for hours or even days, barely moving except to shift into shade as the sun crosses the sky. Water requirements fluctuate depending on diet and climate conditions. Lions obtain much of their moisture from prey animal blood and tissues, allowing them to survive for several days without drinking. However, they prefer to drink daily when water remains available, and during hot, dry periods, they must visit water sources every couple of days. Lions show caution when approaching water, as these locations concentrate both prey and predators, creating zones of heightened danger and opportunity. Cubs growing up in the pride. The arrival of cubs represents a time of hope and vulnerability for a pride. Lioness gestation lasts approximately 110 days, and females typically give birth to litters of 1 to 4 cubs, though up to 6 have been recorded. Unlike many herd animals that can produce precocial young capable of standing and following their mothers within hours of birth, lion cubs arrive helpless and blind, weighing only about 3 pounds. Mothers select secluded birthing sites away from the pride's main area, seeking thick vegetation, rocky crevices, or similar shelter that provides protection from predators and the elements. For the first 6 to 8 weeks of life, mothers keep cubs hidden at these secret nurseries, visiting periodically to nurse but otherwise remaining with the pride. This separation protects newborns during their most vulnerable weeks, when they lack the mobility to follow the pride's movements and any predator that discovers them could easily kill them. Newborn cubs display spotted coats, with the spots gradually fading as they mature, sometimes disappearing entirely in adults or remaining faintly visible depending on the individual. Their eyes, sealed shut at birth, open after approximately 1 week, revealing blue-gray coloration that will gradually change to the amber or yellow characteristic of adults. Their ears remain folded at birth, slowly unfurling over the first weeks of life. These tiny predators spend most of their time sleeping and nursing during the early weeks, growing rapidly on their mother's rich milk. Around 6 to 8 weeks of age, mothers introduce cubs to the pride. This integration represents a crucial moment in a cub's life, their first exposure to the larger social group that will shape their entire existence. The reception varies depending on pride dynamics. In stable prides with multiple related females, cubs from different litters often form cohesive groups, playing together and being raised communally. Females that give birth around the same time sometimes nurse each other's cubs, creating a shared nursery where any mother may feed any cub. This communal raising increases survival rates, as cubs benefit from multiple adults invested in their well-being. Play dominates cub life from the moment they develop coordination and mobility. Cubs wrestle with siblings and pride mates, engaging in battles that look fierce but rarely result in injury. They stalk and pounce on each other, practicing the hunting techniques they will need as adults. They attack the tails of patient adults, learning to gauge distance and timing. They practice climbing, scaling trees with enthusiasm that exceeds their ability to descend, sometimes requiring rescue by concerned mothers. These play sessions, while appearing purely recreational, serve critical developmental purposes. Cubs learn to read social signals, understanding dominance displays and submissive gestures through trial and error. They develop physical coordination, building the muscle memory required for successful hunting. They establish their position within the pride hierarchy, learning which individuals they can challenge and which demand respect. Cubs that engage in more vigorous play often develop into more successful hunters as adults, demonstrating the importance of these early activities. Mothers and other adult females display remarkable patience with cubs, tolerating behavior that would trigger aggression if performed by another adult. Cubs climb on sleeping adults, chew on ears and tails, steal food from mouths, and generally make nuisances of themselves with relative impunity. However, this tolerance has limits. An adult being pestered beyond endurance will swat at offending cubs, teaching boundaries through gentle correction. Cubs that fail to learn appropriate boundaries sometimes receive harder lessons, as adults will discipline overly aggressive or annoying youngsters with increasing severity. Adult males show variable responses to cubs depending on paternity and individual temperament. Males that recently took over a pride pose mortal threats to cubs sired by previous males, viewing them as genetic competitors requiring elimination. Conversely, males show tolerance or even affection toward their own offspring, occasionally playing with cubs and defending them from threats. Some males display more patience with cubs than others, with certain individuals seeming to enjoy the attention while others maintain distance from the pride's youngest members. Cubs begin eating meat around 3 months of age, though they continue nursing until 6 to 8 months old, sometimes longer. Their first experiences with solid food involve chewing on scraps left by adults or gnawing on bones after larger pride members finish feeding. Mothers sometimes facilitate this transition by bringing small prey items to cubs, allowing them to practice killing techniques on manageable targets. A cub presented with an injured or dying small antelope learns to deliver killing bites and begins associating specific actions with successful prey dispatch. Training for future hunting roles begins surprisingly early, often while cubs still nurse regularly. Mothers and other adult females bring cubs along on hunts once they reach 4 to 5 months of age, though they remain spectators rather than participants at this stage. Cubs observe from a distance, watching adult hunting behavior and beginning to understand prey selection, stalking techniques, and coordination among pride members. This observational learning phase lasts for months, with cubs gradually moving closer to the action as they grow larger and more capable. Around 1 year of age, cubs begin participating in hunts in limited ways, usually joining the chase after adults initiate the attack. Their smaller size and lesser experience mean they contribute little to actual prey capture, but they gain invaluable practice in real hunting situations. They learn how prey animals react when attacked, where to bite, how to avoid dangerous hooves and horns, and how to work with other pride members to secure food. Hunting proficiency develops slowly, with young lions not becoming truly skilled until around 2 years of age. Even then, their success rates remain lower than those of experienced adults. A 2-year-old lion might succeed in only 10 to 15% of solo hunting attempts, compared to the 30% success rate of prime adults hunting cooperatively. This learning curve explains why young nomadic males, expelled from their birth prides before fully developing hunting skills, face such challenging circumstances. The relationship between mothers and cubs reveals sophisticated feline emotional bonds. Mothers show clear preferences for their own cubs, nursing them more frequently and defending them more vigorously than they do for the cubs of pride mates. However, they do participate in communal cub care, protecting all pride cubs from external threats regardless of maternity. If a mother dies, other lactating females sometimes adopt orphan cubs, though adoption success varies considerably depending on pride circumstances and the individual females involved. Cubs vocalize frequently, using a range of calls to communicate with mothers and pride mates. Lost cubs emit loud, repeated calls that help mothers locate them. Cubs greeting returning mothers produce softer chirping sounds that express affection and anticipation of nursing. Cubs that want to nurse but face an unreceptive mother produce persistent whining vocalizations designed to wear down maternal resistance. These various calls represent an early vocabulary that will expand into the full range of adult vocalizations as cubs mature. Cub mortality remains distressingly high across lion populations, with survival to adulthood far from guaranteed. Infanticide by incoming males represents a leading cause of cub death, particularly in prides where male turnover occurs frequently. Starvation kills many cubs, especially during drought years when prey becomes scarce and adults monopolize limited food resources. Predation by hyenas, leopards, and even other lions from neighboring prides claims many young lives. Disease and parasites take additional tolls. In some populations, fewer than 20% of cubs survive to adulthood, making each successful juvenile a testament to both individual resilience and favorable circumstances. The age at which cubs reach independence varies by sex. Female cubs remain with their birth pride, transitioning from cub to subadult to full adult member of the female coalition, assuming adult responsibilities gradually as they mature. Male cubs face a more abrupt transition, around 2 to 3 years of age, coinciding with the development of their manes and approaching sexual maturity. Dominant pride males drive them out, forcing them into the dangerous nomadic lifestyle. These newly nomadic males face steep challenges. Inexperienced hunters ejected from the only social structure they have known must suddenly fend for themselves. Some brothers or cousins remain together, forming small bachelor coalitions that increase survival odds through cooperation. These coalitions hunt together, defend kills from scavengers, and eventually, when they reach full maturity around 5 years of age, challenge established pride males for breeding rights. Solitary nomadic males face even grimmer prospects. Without coalition partners, they must hunt successfully on their own, defend kills alone against multiple hyenas or rival lions, and navigate hostile territories controlled by established prides. Many nomadic males never successfully claim a pride, spending their lives wandering marginal habitats and opportunistically scavenging or hunting small prey. Others die during attempts to take over prides, killed by resident males defending their reproductive access. For those males who do successfully claim a pride, life changes dramatically but remains challenging in different ways. They must constantly patrol territory boundaries, scent mark extensively, and respond to incursions by neighboring prides or challenging nomads. They must mate with females to produce their own offspring, ideally synchronizing births so that cubs are born around the same time, improving communal cub survival. And they must do all of this knowing that their tenure will likely last only 2 to 3 years before younger, stronger males drive them out, forcing them back into the nomadic lifestyle during their declining years. Lions and their ecosystems. Lions stand atop African food chains as apex predators, animals with no natural predators of their own once they reach adulthood. This position at the ecological summit grants them enormous influence over the structure and function of their ecosystems, with effects cascading down through multiple trophic levels in patterns that ecologists are only beginning to fully understand. The most direct impact lions exert on their ecosystems comes through predation. By killing and consuming herbivores, lions regulate prey populations, preventing overgrazing that could degrade habitat. In the Serengeti ecosystem, lions and other large predators help maintain the balance between massive herbivore populations, wildebeest, zebra, buffalo, and others, and the grassland vegetation these animals depend upon. Without adequate predation pressure, herbivore numbers would expand until they exhausted food resources, leading to population crashes from starvation and permanent damage to the ecosystem. Research has documented how lions shape prey behavior in addition to controlling prey numbers. Herbivores living in areas with high lion density modify their behavior to reduce predation risk, avoiding certain areas, changing activity patterns, and maintaining higher vigilance. These behavioral changes, collectively called the landscape of fear, reduce the time and energy prey animals invest in feeding, which in turn affects their body condition and reproductive success. This represents predation impact beyond direct killing. Lions influence prey populations through fear as well as through actual mortality. The relationship between lions and their prey species demonstrates the principle of selective predation. Lions preferentially target certain individuals within prey populations, the young, old, sick, and injured, removing these vulnerable animals and leaving healthier, more robust individuals to reproduce. This selective pressure can strengthen prey populations over evolutionary time, as genes allowing individuals to better detect and escape from predators become more common. The arms race between predator and prey drives continuous adaptation on both sides, with neither side ever achieving permanent advantage. Lions compete intensely with other large carnivores for food resources, creating a complex web of interspecies relationships. Spotted hyenas represent their most significant competitors, as both species hunt similar prey and occupy similar ecological niches. The relationship involves mutual harassment, with each species stealing kills from the other when opportunities arise. Lions, with their superior individual size and power, usually dominate one-on-one encounters, but large hyena clans can drive small numbers of lions from kills through numerical superiority. Leopards face particularly difficult relationships with lions, as lions kill leopards when they encounter them, viewing them as both competitors and potential threats to cubs. This interpredator killing, called intra-guild predation, reduces competitor populations and eliminates animals that might prey upon young lions. Leopards respond by becoming largely nocturnal and arboreal in areas where lions are common, hauling kills into trees where lions cannot easily follow, and avoiding open areas where encounters with lions become more likely. Cheetahs likewise suffer from lion presence, losing numerous kills to lions and experiencing significant cub mortality from lion predation. Cheetahs adapted by hunting during daylight hours when lions remain largely inactive, accepting higher heat stress and reduced prey vulnerability to minimize dangerous encounters with lions. This temporal separation allows both species to coexist, though cheetah populations remain depressed in areas with high lion density. African wild dogs and lions engage in mutual antagonism, with lions killing wild dogs when they can catch them and wild dogs harassing lions when pack size gives them confidence. The endangered status of African wild dogs results partly from lion competition, as wild dogs cannot successfully breed in areas with very high lion density. Conservation efforts for wild dogs must consider lion populations, sometimes requiring management interventions to maintain viable wild dog populations in landscapes where they would otherwise disappear. Scavenging species benefit significantly from lion predation, though they must approach kills carefully to avoid dangerous encounters with feeding lions. Vultures, both Old World species and similar scavenging birds, circle hunting lions, watching for kills and descending quickly once lions move away from carcasses. Jackals and smaller carnivores lurk at the edges of lion kills, darting in to snatch scraps when opportunities arise. Insects arrive in massive numbers, with carrion beetles, flies, and other species consuming remaining soft tissues and accelerating carcass decomposition. The ecosystem services lions extend beyond their role as predators and into surprising areas of ecological function. Lion carcasses themselves, once the animal dies, provide food for numerous scavengers and contribute nutrients to soil as they decompose. Lion scat, deposited throughout territories, contains undigested fur, bone fragments, and organic matter that enriches soil and supports plant growth. Prey remains scattered around kill sites, create localized nutrient hotspots where increased plant growth benefits herbivores. Lions require specific habitat characteristics to thrive, and their presence indicates overall ecosystem health. They need sufficient prey populations to support pride territories, access to water for themselves and their prey, and adequate cover for hunting. Grassland, open woodland, and savanna mosaic habitats typically provide optimal conditions, offering the visibility lions need for cooperative hunting while maintaining enough cover for successful stalking. Too much forest restricts lion hunting ability, while completely open desert lacks sufficient prey and water. Seasonal movements of lion prides often follow prey migrations, demonstrating their dependence on herbivore populations. In the Serengeti Mara ecosystem, pride territories shift along predictable patterns as they track the annual migration of wildebeest and zebra. Some prides maintain year-round territories in areas with resident prey populations, while others move dozens of miles following migratory herds. These movements create temporal variation in lion density across the landscape, with important implications for prey species and other predators. Water sources concentrate both lions and prey, creating ecological focal points where interactions intensify. During dry seasons, as scattered water sources desiccate, remaining water holes draw animals from miles around. Lions often stake out these locations, lying in ambush near water and attacking prey forced to drink despite the danger. These waterhole stakeouts require less energy than mobile hunting but provide irregular meals depending on prey movements and the presence of competing predators. Human-modified landscapes present both opportunities and challenges for lion populations. Some lions successfully exploit livestock as prey, with domestic cattle, sheep, and goats representing easy targets compared to wild prey with millions of years of anti-predator evolution. However, this livestock predation creates intense human-lion conflict, as pastoralists depend on their animals for livelihood and respond to losses by killing problem lions. Finding ways to allow lions and humans to coexist represents one of the central challenges of modern lion conservation. Protected areas provide crucial refuges for lion populations, offering spaces where natural ecological processes can occur with minimal human interference. Parks and reserves throughout Africa maintain viable lion populations, serving as source populations that can replenish depleted areas through dispersal of subadult males and sometimes females. However, even protected areas face challenges, including inadequate size for large lion populations, human encroachment along boundaries, poaching of prey species, and the need for ongoing management interventions. The role of disease in lion population dynamics has gained increasing attention from researchers and conservationists. Lions face various disease threats, including canine distemper virus, feline immunodeficiency virus, bovine tuberculosis, and numerous parasites. Disease outbreaks can devastate local populations, as occurred in the Serengeti during the mid-1990s when canine distemper killed approximately 30% of the lion population. Understanding disease transmission, risk factors, and population-level impacts represents a growing priority for lion conservation efforts. Climate change introduces new uncertainties into lion ecology and conservation. Shifting rainfall patterns affect prey populations, with cascading effects on predator numbers. Increased temperature extremes stress lions directly, particularly cubs that have limited ability to thermoregulate. Changing vegetation patterns alter habitat suitability, potentially reducing suitable lion habitat across parts of their range. The full implications of climate change for lion populations remain unclear, but the potential for significant negative impacts drives concern among conservation biologists. The nighttime world of lions. As darkness settles across the savanna, transforming familiar landscapes into mysterious shadow realms, lions truly come alive. The cooler air of night brings relief from the scorching sun, and the sounds of the African night create an auditory backdrop that has remained unchanged for millions of years. This is the lion's true domain, where their adaptations for nocturnal hunting grant them mastery over the landscape. The African night arrives swiftly, with little of the extended twilight experienced at higher latitudes. Within 30 minutes of sunset, full darkness cloaks the land, broken only by starlight and, for a portion of each month, moonlight that bathes the grasslands in silver luminescence. Lions emerge from their daytime resting spots during this transition period, stretching elaborately to work stiffness from muscles and engaging in brief social interactions before the night's activities begin. Moonlit nights transform hunting dynamics in fascinating ways. During full moons, the increased visibility benefits both predator and prey, but research suggests these bright nights may actually reduce lion hunting success. Prey animals can see approaching danger more clearly, maintaining higher vigilance and fleeing earlier when lions approach. Lions respond to these conditions by sometimes reducing hunting efforts during bright moon phases, waiting for darker conditions that favor their superior night vision. The sensory experience of the African night differs dramatically from daylight hours. The temperatures, which may have exceeded 100 degrees Fahrenheit during afternoon hours, drop into the 70s or even lower, bringing blessed relief to animals that spent hours panting in whatever shade they could find. The wind often picks up during evening hours, carrying scents across vast distances and creating acoustic channels that allow sounds to travel surprisingly far through the cool, dense night air. Lions navigate this nighttime world through senses finely tuned to low-light conditions. Their eyes, with that reflective tapetum lucidum bouncing photons back through light-sensitive cells, gather every available bit of illumination. Starlight that seems vanishingly faint to human eyes provides sufficient light for lions to detect movement, recognize pride members, and navigate familiar territories. On moonlit nights, their visual acuity approaches daylight levels, allowing them to see clearly across hundreds of yards of open terrain. The sounds of the African night create a complex auditory landscape. Nocturnal insects produce a constant baseline of chirps, clicks, and buzzes. Nightjars and other nocturnal birds call from perches in scattered trees. Hyenas whoop and cackle in the distance, their eerie vocalizations carrying for miles across the plains. Elephants rumble in infrasonic frequencies below human hearing but perfectly audible to lions. This soundscape provides constant information to attentive predators, alerting them to the movements and locations of potential prey and competitors. Lion roars punctuate the night at irregular intervals, serving multiple functions in the nocturnal world. Males often roar while patrolling territory boundaries, announcing their presence and warning rivals to stay away. Separated pride members use roars to locate each other, particularly when coordinating after nighttime hunting scattered them across the landscape. The sound carries remarkable distances through cool night air, with lions potentially hearing roars from 5 miles away under optimal conditions, allowing for long-distance communication across territories spanning dozens of square miles. The experience of hearing a lion roar in person, particularly at night when darkness amplifies the visceral impact, creates an unforgettable impression. The sound begins low, almost subsonic rumbles that you feel in your chest before consciously hearing. It builds in volume and intensity, reaching impressive decibels that seem to vibrate the very air. The roar typically consists of a series of calls, starting with several low moans that escalate into full-throated roars before gradually descending back to grunts and finishing with a series of low coughs. The entire sequence lasts 15 to 20 seconds, though some males extend their calls even longer. Different individuals produce distinctive roars, with variations in pitch, rhythm, and duration allowing recognition at a distance. Researchers working with specific lion populations learn to identify individuals by voice, much as the lions themselves recognize pride members and neighboring territorial males through vocal characteristics. This individual variation serves important functions, allowing lions to assess whether approaching roars come from known neighbors or unknown strangers, requiring different responses. Hunting occupies much of the lion's nighttime activity, though they also patrol territories, socialize with pride members, drink at water holes, and rest between periods of activity. The pattern varies considerably depending on circumstances. A pride with full bellies from a recent large kill may spend most of the night resting and socializing, while a hungry pride invests maximum effort into hunting. Cubs require feeding more frequently than adults, so prides with dependent young hunt more regularly than pride composed primarily of adults. The stalk and ambush hunting strategy that works well during crepuscular hours becomes even more effective under cover of darkness. Lions can approach significantly closer before prey detects them, as the reduced visibility hampers prey vigilance. However, the final rush becomes trickier in darkness, as uneven terrain invisible in low light can cause stumbles or missteps that allow prey to escape. Lions seem to carefully balance these factors, often initiating hunts during early evening twilight when they retain sufficient visibility to navigate terrain, while prey animals begin having difficulty detecting stalking predators. The night brings increased activity from prey species as well, with many herbivores feeding during cooler nighttime hours and resting during the heat of day. This synchronization benefits lions, concentrating their hunting efforts when prey remains active and potentially less vigilant due to reduced visibility. Zebra, wildebeest, buffalo, and other herbivores spread across the landscape in darkness, seeking fresh grass while remaining alert for the threat that stalks them constantly. Waterholes take on particular significance during nighttime hours, as animals must balance their need for water against the concentrated predation risk these locations represent. Lions often position themselves near water sources, lying in wait for thirsty prey that must approach despite the danger. Prey species respond with heightened caution, approaching water slowly, scanning the area repeatedly, and often drinking in large groups where many eyes and ears provide better early warning of danger. The social dynamics within prides continue throughout the night, with affectionate interactions strengthening bonds between pride members. Lions approach each other with soft grunts, engaging in elaborate greeting ceremonies that involve rubbing heads and bodies together, transferring scent and reinforcing group cohesion. These gentle interactions contrast sharply with the violence of hunts and the fierce competition that erupts around kills, revealing the complex social nature of lion society. Cubs, if present, participate in nighttime activities to varying degrees depending on their age. Very young cubs often remain behind when pride members hunt, waiting at the resting area until mothers return. Older cubs, still dependent but increasingly mobile, may follow at a distance, observing hunts and learning techniques they will need to employ as adults. Adolescent lions participate increasingly in hunts, though their contributions remain limited by inexperience and smaller size compared to full adults. The period between midnight and dawn typically represents the most active hunting time, with lions covering considerable distances in search of prey. A pride may travel 5 to 10 miles in a single night, checking favored hunting areas, investigating sounds and scents that might indicate prey presence, and continuously assessing opportunities for successful kills. This mobility contradicts the common perception of lions as sedentary animals. While they do spend many hours resting, active periods involve impressive ranging across their territories. As dawn approaches and the sky begins lightening in the east, lion activity typically declines. If they made a kill during the night, they feed until satisfied before seeking shade for the coming day. If they hunted unsuccessfully, they may rest briefly before attempting another hunt during the favorable conditions of early morning, or they may simply settle into daytime resting spots and wait for evening to try again. This flexible approach allows them to maximize hunting success while avoiding the most extreme heat of midday. The transition from night to day brings another shift in the soundscape. Nocturnal insects fall silent as diurnal species wake and begin their daily activities. Bird calls, absent during nighttime hours except for specialized nocturnal species, swell into morning choruses as countless avian voices greet the new day. Prey animals that spent the night feeding and maintaining vigilance begin seeking places to rest and ruminate, processing the vegetation they consumed during hours of darkness. Lions themselves settle into their daytime lethargy as temperatures climb and the advantages of their nocturnal adaptations fade. They seek shade wherever available, often lying in contact with other pride members, using each other as pillows and generally appearing remarkably peaceful for animals that spent recent hours pursuing and killing prey. This daily cycle, repeated endlessly across the seasons, represents the fundamental rhythm of lion life, shaped by the harsh demands of the African environment and the evolutionary adaptations that allow these magnificent predators to thrive. Lions across cultures and history. Throughout human history, stretching back tens of thousands of years into our species' deep past, lions have occupied a unique position in human consciousness. These animals, sharing landscapes with our ancestors across Africa, the Middle East, and parts of Europe and Asia, became embedded in human culture in ways few other species matched. The relationship between humans and lions encompasses reverence, fear, competition, exploitation, and increasingly, concern for their survival. Cave paintings created by Paleolithic humans 30,000 years ago depict lions in remarkable detail, suggesting our ancestors observed these animals closely and considered them significant enough to memorialize in art. These ancient images, preserved on cave walls in locations like Chauvet Cave in France, show lions in profile, sometimes in groups, occasionally interacting with prey or other lions. The artists captured anatomical details and poses that demonstrate intimate knowledge of lion behavior and appearance. Ancient Mesopotamian civilizations incorporated lions heavily into their art, architecture, and mythology. The Lion Gate at Mycenae, constructed around 1250 BCE, features two lionesses flanking a central column, guarding the entrance to the citadel. The Ishtar Gate of Babylon, built around 575 BCE, displays dozens of lions in glazed brick relief, creating a powerful visual statement about royal power and divine protection. Lions symbolize strength, courage, and royal authority across Mesopotamian cultures, with kings claiming lion-like qualities to legitimize their rule. Ancient Egypt developed complex relationships with lions and lion symbolism, incorporating these animals into religious beliefs, royal imagery, and daily life. The Sphinx, that iconic monument combining a human head with a lion's body, demonstrates the importance of lions in Egyptian thought. Pharaohs kept lions as symbols of power, sometimes hunting them in elaborate ceremonies designed to demonstrate royal prowess. The goddess Sekhmet, depicted with a lion's head on a woman's body, represented divine fury and protection, embodying both the dangerous and protective aspects humans perceived in lions. The ancient Greeks and Romans incorporated lions into mythology despite the fact that lions had largely disappeared from Greece by classical times. The Nemean lion, slain by Hercules as his first labor, represented an invincible monster with hide impervious to weapons, requiring Hercules to strangle it with his bare hands. Lions appeared in Roman arenas, fighting gladiators and other animals in spectacles that entertained crowds while simultaneously demonstrating Roman power over nature. These arena lions came from North African populations, transported across the Mediterranean to meet demand for exotic animals. Biblical references to lions appear throughout Old Testament texts, with the animal serving various symbolic functions. Daniel in the lion's den represents divine protection, with God preventing lions from harming the faithful prophet. Samson's defeat of a lion barehanded demonstrates his extraordinary strength. The Lion of Judah becomes a symbol for the tribe of Judah and later for Jesus Christ in Christian theology. These religious references ensured lions maintained symbolic importance in Western culture, even as actual lions disappeared from the Middle East and Europe. Asian cultures developed their own rich traditions involving lions. despite the fact that lion populations in Asia remained always smaller than those in Africa. The Asiatic lion, a subspecies distinct from African lions, once ranged across the Middle East into India, where it became incorporated into Hindu and Buddhist traditions. Hindu texts describe lions as vahanas, vehicles, for various deities, with the goddess Durga famously riding a lion into battle. Buddhist teachings use the lion as a symbol of Buddha himself, with the phrase "lion's roar" representing the proclamation of truth. Chinese and Japanese cultures embraced lion symbolism enthusiastically despite never having native lion populations, adapting ideas from cultures further west and developing unique artistic interpretations. The Chinese guardian lions, also called fu dogs despite being lions, flank the entrances to important buildings, serving protective functions. These stylized representations evolved far from the anatomical reality of actual lions, becoming fantastic creatures that reflect Chinese artistic sensibilities more than zoological accuracy. Lion dances performed during celebrations continue this tradition, with performers manipulating elaborate lion costumes in acrobatic displays. African cultures, living alongside lions for all of human history, developed varied and complex relationships with these predators. Different ethnic groups and regions produced different attitudes, ranging from reverence to fear to pragmatic coexistence. The Maasai people of East Africa traditionally viewed lions as noble adversaries, with young warriors proving their courage by hunting lions with spears in coordinated group efforts. This practice, while largely discontinued due to conservation concerns, reflected a worldview that respected lions as worthy opponents while also viewing lion killing as a legitimate demonstration of martial valor. Many African cultures incorporated lions into origin stories and folklore, with the animal appearing as a character possessing various attributes depending on the specific story and cultural context. Lions might appear as wise counselors, dangerous antagonists, proud fools, or powerful allies, reflecting the complex relationship between human communities and the predators sharing their landscape. These stories often conveyed practical wisdom about lion behavior, teaching children which situations pose danger and how to respond to lion encounters. European heraldry adopted the lion as a premier symbol, with countless noble families, kingdoms, and organizations incorporating lions into their coats of arms. The symbolism emphasized qualities humans admired and aspired to: courage, nobility, strength, and leadership. The British Royal Coat of Arms features multiple lions, establishing a symbolic connection between monarchy and lion attributes that persists despite the fact that lions never naturally occurred in the British Isles. This heraldic tradition spread wherever European influence extended, carrying lion symbolism to cultures that had no direct experience with actual lions. The colonial period brought increased European contact with African and Asian lion populations, with mixed results for the animals. Colonial administrators and visitors viewed lion hunting as sport, killing thousands of animals as trophies and to supposedly protect livestock and humans. Writers like J. H. Patterson documented these hunts in books like The Man-Eaters of Tsavo, which described two male lions that killed construction workers building the Kenya-Uganda Railway in 1898. These accounts, while often exaggerated, reinforced perceptions of lions as dangerous man-eaters requiring elimination rather than conservation. The emergence of wildlife photography and documentary filmmaking in the 20th century dramatically changed Western perceptions of lions. People who would never visit Africa could observe lion behavior through photographs and films, developing emotional connections with individual animals and prides. Works like the documentary Born Free, which told the story of Elsa the lioness raised by conservationists George and Joy Adamson, created widespread sympathy for lions and support for conservation efforts. This media representation helped transform lions from dangerous pests to charismatic megafauna worthy of protection. Modern popular culture continues to feature lions prominently, with the animals appearing in countless books, films, and other media. The Lion King, released by Disney in 1994, introduced lion characters and simplified African ecology to millions of children worldwide, significantly shaping public perceptions of lions and their ecosystems. While the film took substantial liberties with lion biology and ecology, it undeniably increased public interest in and affection for lions, potentially contributing to conservation support among generations who grew up with these characters. Contemporary African communities living alongside lions face complex challenges balancing traditional relationships with these predators against modern conservation goals and economic pressures. Livestock predation by lions creates economic hardship for pastoralists, particularly when governments prohibit retaliatory killing of problem animals. Some conservation programs attempt to compensate herders for livestock losses, hoping to reduce conflict and increase tolerance for lions. Other initiatives promote livestock management techniques that reduce predation risk, such as improved enclosures and guard animals. The rise of wildlife tourism has created economic incentives for lion conservation in some areas, as tourists pay substantial fees to view lions in protected areas. This tourism revenue, when shared with local communities, can offset losses from livestock predation and provide alternative livelihoods that don't conflict with conservation goals. However, tourism benefits concentrate in accessible areas with good infrastructure, leaving communities in more remote regions without comparable compensation for coexisting with dangerous predators. Traditional lion hunting by indigenous peoples has largely ceased due to legal restrictions and changing cultural attitudes. The Maasai warrior hunts, once a coming-of-age ritual, now occur rarely and under controversial circumstances when they do happen. Some communities have replaced actual lion hunts with symbolic alternatives, maintaining cultural traditions while reducing pressure on endangered lion populations. These adaptations demonstrate how cultures can evolve to address contemporary conservation needs while preserving important cultural practices. Trophy hunting of lions remains controversial, with passionate advocates and opponents debating its role in conservation. Supporters argue that trophy hunting provides economic incentives for maintaining lion habitat and populations, particularly in areas unsuitable for photographic tourism. They point to examples where hunting revenue funds conservation efforts and benefits local communities. Opponents counter that trophy hunting removes genetically valuable individuals from populations, disrupts pride's social structures, and represents an ethically questionable practice given lions' endangered status. The debate continues without clear resolution, reflecting deep disagreements about wildlife management philosophy and the appropriate relationship between humans and wildlife. Conservation and the future. The magnificent lions that have roamed African landscapes for hundreds of thousands of years now face an uncertain future, with populations declining across much of their historic range. Understanding the magnitude and causes of this decline requires examining both historical context and current threats. While considering what actions might reverse these troubling trends, and secure a future for wild lions. Historical lion populations dwarfed current numbers, though precise estimates remain difficult due to limited record-keeping and the vast territories involved. Conservative estimates suggest approximately 1 million lions lived in Africa around the turn of the 20th century, with additional populations in the Middle East and India. By the 1950s, numbers had declined to several hundred thousand, primarily due to habitat loss and deliberate killing by colonial administrators and settlers who viewed lions as threats to livestock and human safety. The decline accelerated dramatically in recent decades, with lion populations falling approximately 43% between 1993 and 2014, according to research published in the journal Ecology Letters. Current population estimates suggest approximately 20,000 lions remain in Africa, though estimates vary depending on survey methods and which populations researchers include. This represents a stunning 98% decline from historical numbers, placing lions among the most dramatically reduced large mammal species, despite their iconic status and public affection. Geographic distribution tells an equally troubling story. Lions once ranged throughout Africa except for the deepest rainforests, with populations extending into the Middle East, through parts of Southwest Asia, and into India. Now they occupy less than 8% of their historical range, persisting primarily in protected areas and adjacent lands in eastern and southern Africa. West African lion populations have declined to critically low numbers, with only about 400 individuals remaining in scattered, isolated populations facing high extinction risk. The sole surviving Asian lion population clings to existence in India's Gir forest, occupying a single protected area that once supported lions across vast territories spanning multiple countries. This population, which fell to fewer than 20 individuals in the early 20th century, has recovered to around 600 animals thanks to intensive conservation efforts. However, concentrating the entire Asian lion population in one location creates vulnerability. A single disease outbreak or natural disaster could potentially eliminate the subspecies. Multiple interrelated factors drive lion population declines, creating a complex conservation challenge requiring multifaceted solutions. Habitat loss represents perhaps the fundamental threat, as growing human populations convert lion habitat to agricultural land, settlements, and infrastructure. Lions need large territories to support viable populations, with estimates suggesting a minimum of 10,000 square miles to maintain genetically healthy populations long-term. Few remaining lion habitats reach this size, and those that do often face fragmentation from roads, settlements, and agricultural development. Human-wildlife conflict accelerates population declines, particularly in areas where lions and pastoral communities overlap. Lions kill livestock, creating economic losses that impoverished herders can ill afford. Herders respond by killing problem lions through poisoning, shooting, or spearing, removing individual animals and sometimes destroying entire prides. This retaliatory killing represents a leading cause of lion mortality outside protected areas, with some estimates suggesting that over half of adult lion deaths result from human actions related to livestock predation. Prey-based depletion further threatens lion populations, as humans hunt the same herbivore species that lions depend upon for food. Bushmeat hunting, using snares, guns, and other methods, has emptied forests and depleted grassland herbivore populations across much of Africa. Lions cannot survive without adequate prey, and even protected areas face challenges maintaining sufficient herbivore populations when surrounding communities depend on bushmeat for protein. This creates a double threat. Lions lose food resources while humans and lions compete directly for wild meat. Disease represents an emerging threat that climate change and other factors may exacerbate. Canine distemper virus, bovine tuberculosis, and feline immunodeficiency virus all affect lion populations, with disease outbreaks capable of killing significant percentages of local populations. Disease transmission often involves domestic animals, with diseases jumping from dogs, cattle, or cats into wild lion populations. This connection between domestic and wild animal health complicates disease management and requires coordinated approaches addressing both populations. Illegal wildlife trade, while not primarily focused on lions, nonetheless impacts populations through trade in bones, teeth, claws, and other body parts used in traditional medicine or as curiosities. The scale remains difficult to quantify, but seizures of lion parts suggest a substantial illegal trade that adds incremental pressure on already stressed populations. Concern exists that as tiger populations decline and become more protected, demand for lion parts may increase as a substitute. Habitat fragmentation deserves particular attention as a threat multiplier that interacts with other factors to suppress population viability. Small, isolated lion populations face multiple challenges that larger populations avoid. They suffer from inbreeding, reducing genetic diversity, and potentially lowering fitness. They cannot easily receive immigrants from other populations that might introduce new genes and bolster numbers. They become vulnerable to local catastrophes. A disease outbreak or prey population crash that might represent a temporary setback for a large population could extirpate a small, isolated one. Climate change introduces additional uncertainties into lion conservation, with potential impacts ranging from direct effects on lion physiology to complex changes in ecosystem dynamics. Increased temperatures and changing rainfall patterns affect prey species distributions and abundance, with cascading effects on predator populations. Droughts become more severe and prolonged, stressing both prey and predator populations while intensifying competition for diminishing resources. Some habitat currently suitable for lions may become unsuitable if climatic conditions shift beyond tolerance ranges for lions or their prey. Despite these formidable challenges, conservation successes demonstrate that lion population recovery remains possible with adequate commitment and resources. The Asiatic lion population in Gir Forest, as mentioned, recovered from fewer than 20 individuals to around 600, demonstrating that even critically depleted populations can recover with sufficient protection. Several African populations have stabilized or increased in well-managed protected areas where adequate resources exist for conservation efforts. Kruger National Park in South Africa maintains a stable lion population of approximately 1,700 individuals, making it one of the largest remaining lion populations anywhere. This success results from strong legal protection, adequate funding for anti-poaching efforts, scientific management based on research, and generating substantial tourism revenue that justifies conservation investment. While not without challenges, Kruger demonstrates what becomes possible when governments prioritize wildlife conservation and provide necessary resources. The Kavango-Zambezi Transfrontier Conservation Area, spanning parts of Angola, Botswana, Namibia, Zambia, and Zimbabwe, represents an ambitious effort to create connected habitats spanning national boundaries. This area, covering approximately 200,000 square miles, could support thousands of lions if management succeeds in reducing poaching, mitigating human-wildlife conflict, and maintaining prey populations. The transboundary approach recognizes that ecosystems and wildlife populations do not respect political boundaries, requiring international cooperation for effective conservation. Community-based conservation initiatives show promise for addressing human-wildlife conflict while creating local support for conservation. Programs that involve local communities in wildlife management decisions share tourism revenue with people living near protected areas, and provide alternative livelihoods can increase tolerance for lions despite the challenges they create. The Maasai Olympics, which offers athletic competition as an alternative to traditional lion hunting, represents one creative approach to maintaining cultural traditions while supporting conservation goals. Livestock management programs help reduce predation, decreasing conflict without requiring lion removal. Improved enclosures that exclude lions, guard animals like donkeys or dogs that deter predators, and careful herding practices all reduce livestock losses. Some programs subsidize these improvements for herders, recognizing that asking impoverished communities to bear the costs of coexisting with lions creates unrealistic expectations. When communities benefit from conservation while also receiving support managing the challenges wildlife creates, conservation success becomes more achievable. Compensation schemes that pay herders for verified livestock losses attempt to reduce retaliatory killing by removing the economic incentive. These programs face challenges, verifying that lions caused losses rather than disease or theft, preventing fraudulent claims, securing adequate funding, ensuring timely payments. But when implemented effectively, they can reduce human-lion conflict. Some programs shift from compensating losses to rewarding conservation, paying communities based on lion population stability rather than individual livestock deaths, creating positive incentives for coexistence. Scientific research continues generating crucial information for evidence-based conservation. GPS collars allow researchers to track lion movements, understand territory size and habitat use, and identify areas where lions and humans interact most frequently. Genetic studies assess population connectivity and identify conservation units requiring separate management. Disease monitoring detects outbreaks early and informs disease management strategies. This research enables managers to make informed decisions rather than relying on assumptions or outdated information. Captive breeding programs serve controversial roles in lion conservation, with debate continuing about their appropriate place in overall conservation strategies. Supporters argue that captive populations preserve genetic diversity and could provide animals for reintroduction if wild populations collapse entirely. Critics contend that captive breeding diverts resources from protecting wild populations, fails to address root causes of population decline, and creates welfare concerns for captive animals. The dispute reflects larger questions about conservation philosophy and priorities with no easy answers. Education and outreach work to build public support for lion conservation, recognizing that long-term success requires people valuing lions and supporting conservation policies and programs. Education targets multiple audiences: local communities living alongside lions, national populations that might never see wild lions but whose political support determines funding and policies, and international audiences whose donations and tourism spending provide crucial conservation revenue. Effective education connects people emotionally with lions while also conveying factual information about conservation needs and solutions. Legal protection forms the foundation of conservation efforts, with strong laws prohibiting lion killing and habitat destruction providing essential safeguards. However, laws alone prove insufficient without adequate enforcement. Many countries have excellent wildlife protection laws that remain poorly enforced due to limited resources, corruption, or lack of political will. Strengthening enforcement through training and equipping wildlife rangers, improving judicial processes for wildlife crime, and creating political accountability for conservation failures all contribute to more effective legal protection. International cooperation brings resources and expertise to lion conservation while fostering coordinated approaches across borders. Organizations like the International Union for Conservation of Nature (IUCN) assess conservation status and develop action plans. International agreements regulate trade in endangered species, reducing demand for illegal wildlife products. Foreign aid supports conservation programs in developing countries where domestic resources remain inadequate. While international involvement sometimes creates tensions around sovereignty and priorities, it brings crucial support for conservation efforts that benefit both lions and the broader ecosystems they inhabit. The future of wild lions depends ultimately on human decisions and actions taken over the coming decades. Will we muster the political will and allocate the necessary resources to maintain viable lion populations across sufficient habitat? Will we develop conservation approaches that address legitimate human needs while also preserving space for wildlife? Will we value lions enough to accept the costs and compromises their conservation requires? These questions have no certain answers, but the trajectory of lion populations will reveal how seriously humanity takes its responsibility toward the species with which we share this planet. As you drift towards sleep, let these images settle gently in your mind. Lion prides resting in the dappled shade of acacia trees, cubs playing together while mothers watch patiently, the distant sound of a roar echoing across the African night. These animals, who have walked this earth far longer than our species, deserve a future that extends beyond our lifetimes into centuries yet to come. Their survival depends on us, on choices made in governmental chambers and village meetings, in protected area management offices and community gatherings. Let yourself imagine a future where children in the next century still know lions as wild, free-ranging animals rather than merely as symbols from storybooks and films. Picture vast landscapes where these magnificent predators still hunt, still raise their young, still roar in the darkness. This future remains possible, though not guaranteed, requiring dedication and sacrifice from people across the globe who may never see a wild lion, but who nonetheless value their existence and their right to persist. The story of lions represents one chapter in the larger story of humanity's relationship with the natural world. We have the power to write the ending through our choices and actions. We can choose coexistence over elimination, preservation over exploitation, humility over hubris. We can recognize that a world with wild lions enriches all of us, even those who never directly encounter these animals. Their loss would diminish us all, marking a failure not just of conservation but of our species' wisdom and compassion. As sleep overtakes you, let these thoughts fade gently away, replaced by peaceful dreams of the savanna at twilight. where lions move through golden grass and the eternal rhythms of nature continue as they have for eons. Rest well, knowing that people across the world work daily to ensure these animals survive, to maintain the wild places they need, to resolve conflicts and create coexistence. The work continues, the hope endures, and the lions, for now, still roam the grasslands that have been their home since before humans walked upright. If you enjoyed this journey through the world of lions, please consider liking this video and subscribing to Deep Science Sleep for more peaceful, educational content that helps you drift into restful sleep. Your support helps us continue creating these calming explorations of the natural world. Sleep well, and may your dreams be filled with the golden light of the African savanna.